Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Noof Nukem here tonight, hosting the Game Dosage podcast, taking over for Glitcher, who could not be with us this evening. He had some dental work, so I guess he figured he'd sound like Mumbo Jumbo. So, yes, I'm running. I do apologize for the wait. I haven't hosted one of these things in like a long time, so I just kind of forgot how to go about the whole process. I knew how to get the friggin' room up and ready to go, but I just couldn't figure out the transition back to the Google Hangouts. But anyway, we're ready to rock tonight, guys. And without any further ado, I want to introduce our awesome panel. We are missing a couple of members for right now. Frodo Foxy, who is, I should announce, is going to be a new permanent member of the podcast. He couldn't be with us this week either. I guess he had some health issues and just wasn't feeling up to it as well. And who else are we missing tonight? Jago not with us tonight. He's going to be a couple of weeks away, but he should be back at some point in time. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten about Jago. But in the meantime, let's introduce the current panel that we have here tonight. We've got a guest with us as well, and we're going to introduce our guest first. And we've got the one, the only, the saltiest man in gaming. Saltiest Gaming is with us tonight. Salty, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Glad to be here. It's storming like a mother outside. There's trees falling over. You know, I think they had to call fire departments from outside cities. It's crazy, but we're still here. We're here ready to roll. Let's get it going. Thanks for having me on.
We're glad to have you here, Salty. I'm sure your input will be valued as we head throughout the evening. We've got some great topics to get into as well. Let's kick off with the next man, the deadest man in the podcast, Mr. Stinking Corpse. What's going on, brother?
Not a whole lot, man. How's everybody in chat doing and everybody on the panel? It's another Monday, another game dosage, so let's get on.
It is indeed. Let's head over to the man that people know as Invader. What's going on, Invader?
Hey, everyone, and what's going on? Thanks for coming out to another episode of the Game Dosage podcast. And yeah, it's the Space Lord here, Invader, and I'm joined by a stellar crew of panel members as always. And as you know, we've got the cure for your gaming addictions. Now come get ready for our prescription.
That's right. He couldn't have said it any better. And last but not least, when you've got a panel that is filled with salty old fucks and a bunch of dry old bags, you got to bring a little moisty to the show. We got the one, the only Mrs. No Chills. Well, she's not Mrs., but she is Miss No Chills, and that is Primal Eve.
Thank you. I am glad to be here. I wasn't able to show up last week due to some health issues, but I'm doing better, and I appreciate everybody with their get well wishes, and I'm just really glad to be back on here with you guys talking games.
Oh, yes, we are going to talk some games indeed. Again, we do miss Glitch, and hope he gets, gets his teeth fixed and all that good shit so he can come back here with his mumbo jumbo next week. Let's get right into the topics for tonight, guys. We got some doozies, and let me just jump down through the list of them here. We got quite a few. Let's start off, I guess, with, I think what's number one on the agenda here. Just let me pull it up and get this all ready to roll. My God, this is a mess. Let's talk about some release dates. We'll start with one that we do know of, and Darksiders 3 release date and some collector's editions. Darksiders 3 looks like it's going to be coming out here, was it November? I think it is, late November 27th. So what do you think about that, guys? Anybody anticipating this game, excited about it at all? What did you think of the old games, that sort of thing? And let's throw this over, and we'll start with our guest, Salty. What do you think about the release date finally dropping? Have you checked out some footage? And give us your thoughts.
Oh, man. I'm not an expert when it comes to this game. I played a couple of the past games. I didn't finish them, but they are fun. From what I've seen of the new footage, it looks amazing. And it looks like it's going to be up my alley. I don't know about this release date for this game, because that's usually a time when all the other games come out. So we shall see if it does good, if it's good enough to, keep up there with the big boys, the AAA, like the CODs and all this other stuff. Depending on when it comes out, we shall see if it does good, But, I'm not really too excited about it. I probably won't pre-order it. So that just kind of tells you where I'm at with the game,
Yeah, did you try the old one, Salt, at all?
Yeah, I did. I think it was in Game Pass, or I tried it somewhere. I didn't buy it, and then I played through it, but I stopped playing it because you know how that goes. ADD with gaming. You play some shit, you stop, you go play other stuff. So I've played the games and they're fun and I like them. I like the gameplay. I like the story elements of the game, the way they set it up. But like I said before, I kind of got bored and I stopped playing it, you know. So,
gotcha. Let's head over and see what Stinging Corpse has got to say about this franchise. What do you think, man?
I'm kind of almost about 100% the same as Salty. Actually, I think they gave those 2 games away for free on Games with Gold at one time, because that's how I got them. I've dabbled with both of them. They are fun. I enjoyed them. And yeah, like saying the stuff that I've seen of the third one looks pretty good. And I was actually, which is kind of funny, because yesterday I was looking at the PlayStation Store and they have the first one and the second one for the PS4 for like practically dirt cheap, like $5.99 and $8.99. So, I mean, yeah, if you don't have them and you got a PS4 or something, you want to play them on that, then yeah, pick it up. But I probably won't pre-order it. I'll wait till it's out a little while, and maybe there'll be a sale or something that'll be included in, or maybe there'll be a package of all 3 of them and buy it that way.
And Vader, how about you, man? Have you had a chance to play the old games? Are you excited about the third one in the franchise and its release date, November 27? Give us your take on it, man. Are you ready to invade a new game then?
Always. Well, starting off, I have played the original game, and I had a whale of a time with it. I really enjoyed the dungeon crawling, kind of Zelda-esque gameplay, fighting all these big badass bosses, and yeah, just exploring and looting. Lots of loot in that game. But you know what? I haven't really seen that much of Darksiders 3, to be honest. I haven't really kept much of an eye on it because of all the other games out there. So just since I saw the release date, November 23rd, 27th, whatever it is, that's an interesting time period because, I mean, as everybody knows, October and November are usually quite busy during the holiday season. And then, of course, it's sandwiched in between other games in like January and February, because that's starting to become really packed as well. So November 23rd, I think that's not a terrible time. It could work out for them. They're definitely taking a risk. What caught my attention was the special editions of the game, because one is close to like, I know this is an American funds, like $400 for the Apocalypse edition, and you get all kinds of goodies there. So, you know, imagine for us, Noof, as Canadians, that's like an extra $100 on top of that. Oh, wow. They're nuts. Damn.
A collector's edition that costs more than an actual console. You can pencil me out.
Well, it comes with like 4 statues, like 4 figurines of War, Death, Fury, and Volgrim, and then it comes with like, well, the good thing is it comes with the game.
Thank God for that.
Hell yeah.
You know what they call the Apocalypse Edition? Because everybody's spouse or girlfriend will probably just about nail you into oblivion after you buy it. There goes the Christmas list.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The amount for this edition. They have a middle edition. It's like probably like $150. I can't remember what it comes with. I think it comes with one figurine anyways for Fury. But yeah, as far as Darksiders 3 goes, it does interest me. I need to see more of it.
Real quick, I love it when my spouse nails me into oblivion. I don't know about you guys, but at any point, do these special editions get too expensive and too crazy? This shit's. We're gonna put 4 statues in there. We're gonna put 10 statues in there. It's $1,000. You don't get the game. It's okay. You know what I'm saying?
I guess my question is: does anybody really love that franchise that much to dish it out? I mean, I'm sure there are people out there, but I mean, I'd even be hard pressed to pay something like that for a Gears collectible. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a diehard Gears fan, but there is like a point of kind of this is the price of a console.
I have a lot of friends who, on the Gears 4 edition, the airdrop for $100, I have friends that purchase that weekly.
Wow!
So throwing out a $400 special edition, because it comes with a wall scroll. You get a cool amulet you can wear off and show your pride.
Right.
But that is outrageous. But I know that there's going to be people buying it and showing it off.
Oh, for sure.
No doubt about it.
For sure.
I mean, it's a gaming addiction, right? You guys talk about that. I mean, if you have the money to blow, I'm not gonna judge you for it, but it's crazy. Eventually, they're gonna be like, well, it's gonna be 20,000, right? Hear us out. Here, it's a golden, it's the golden disc, right? It's like, come on, guys.
I like what Lunch Bizzle says in the chat. If $400 will make her leave, then start my pre-order. Great one. Yeah, my take on it is, well, I do like the other games. I got to be honest, I'm a fraud. I haven't even finished either one. I started the original back on 360. Then I got into the Darksiders 2, the definitive edition or whatever, because I think it was free on Gold a couple months back, and before that it was free on PSN Plus. So I think most people should have had a chance to play the second game at least. I think they're great games. I think they borrow a lot of great elements from some classic franchises. I mean, if you've never played these games, you should give them a try, guys. They've got a little bit of Legend of Zelda style of map design and sort of the dungeon grind and stuff like that with the treasure chests. They got a little bit of that fast-paced arcade hack and slash from the God of War series, very reminiscent. Might not be as fluid per se. I think that the second game definitely improved a lot of areas that the first game kind of misstepped. And the third game looks to be really good too. And I don't think I get Primal. Did I get your take on this yet? Because you are the lady in the room, and the protagonist this time is a woman. So go ahead.
Yeah, that definitely interests me. But both Darksiders are in my backlog right now, so I haven't been able to play either one of them yet.
Hey. Yeah, right now the only dark side I got is my asshole, right? So
Hey, real quick, who has actually finished this game? I haven't. It's crazy. I don't know.
How about the chat, guys? Who's excited for this game, and who's even beaten the other ones? If you've beaten the 1 and 2, put down a 1. If you're excited for the second game, put down a 2. Just curious in the chat. And speaking of the chat, let's give a shout out to everybody that's here. First, we'll start with our host who couldn't be here tonight, Mr. Glitcher. We got Nick Follett, looks like a new guy up in the chat tonight. Thanks for coming out. We got Lunch Bizzle, Cyber Gunter, the Indie Gamer. We got Witty Mass up in here tonight. We have got James Dolasek. Surprised James hasn't dropped some coin in the chat yet. The guy is usually the first to do so. With Shannon Lovely's in here. Who else? We got our Rob, Lady Foxfire. I think we're getting down through. Cray Simmons is up in the house here. So, yeah, we got a great list of people. Dreadpool is here. If I forgot to mention you guys, make sure you say, hey, new, if you forgot. We'll try to give you guys all a shout out here before the end of the show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's move. Well, no, let's finish up. Primal, were you done with that topic, or do you want to add something more on that?
No, I'm good.
You're all good?
Yeah.
Are you more excited about the third game, though, because it is a female kicking some ass? Or
of course. No? Yeah, like I love my female kicking ass games. Like, I'm a fan of Bayonetta. I'm really liking Nier right now, and Tomb Raider, of course. So yeah, I love the ladies kicking ass.
Hey, how can I forget about Supersonic Station, Chase Jones, Coke Viper, and Punkadish all up in the house tonight, guys? Thanks so much for being here. Well, speaking of game delays, or sorry, not game delays, but game releases, apparently, according to one retailer, they sort of leaked Gears of War 5 release date. I'm skeptical about it. They're saying it's going to be March of 2019, which just sounds totally unrealistic. And based on trends, Gears normally comes out in the fall or the winter. So let's get your take on it. And let's start with our massive Gears of War kick-ass lady in the house. We're going to go the other way. Primal, if it does come out in March, are you excited? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, first of all, it said March 31st, and that's my birthday, so I'm creaming already, just a little bit. But then again, from working at a video game retail store that shall be not named because it's the only one there, those dates are just set to be there. If it's ever dated on the last day of a month, chances are that's not even going to be its date. And it is very odd that it would be March, because Gears has been traditionally like a fall game towards the fourth quarter holiday time. You had 2 come out in November, you had another one come out in September, and you had another, and the last one, no, one of them was October. I'm not so sure the complete order of them. Mm-hmm. But it is kind of, I don't know. I would be very happy if it did happen, but I really think it's not, right, unfortunately.
And Vader, throw your thoughts down on this one, brother.
Well, I think it's plausible, but I don't think it's going to be coming out in March. There has been a previous Gears game that has come out in March, and that was Gears of War Judgment. That was in late March, going back to 2013, I believe. But I can't see it happening. I can't see them sticking a mainline game just like somewhere like early on in the year. To me, it just seems like more of a like at the end of the year game, like going towards Christmas. It's just one of those like mainline games, like a Forza that just kind of has like a usual position at the end of the year, where to where they slot them in. So I think the date's off personally.
All right, let's hand the next one over to Mr. Corpse, man. What's your take? Think it's legit or it's shit?
I kind of think it's not legit, but I mean, it could be them just changing it up. I mean, everyone's expecting it to be later on in the year, and maybe they're just going to change it up. It's ahead of schedule or something. They want to get it out. It does seem odd. And then with Invaders talking about, Judgment was the other game to kind of come out in that time frame. Well, we know kind of the reception Judgment had. Not that this would get that same reception, because I'm looking forward to this game because it's actually, part of the new series. But I don't know. Time will tell. I'm going to go with it's not legit.
Fair enough. And finally, let's head over to the guest of the evening, Mr. Salty. What's your take on this, brother? I'm sure you got a couple of good thoughts on this.
Yeah, man. I did a video on this, and I'm going to take it from the other side, just saying, because you can look at it both ways, because they found this on CD keys, and it says on or before the 31st of March. Based off of what we saw from E3 footage, this game is pretty far along in the development, in my opinion. We saw pretty much a cutscene, a long cutscene. It was well done. We saw gameplay. It looked polished to me, honestly, if I'm coming at from that perspective. Also, they're trying to change things up with the franchises, go different directions, try new things with Gears 5, call it a different thing. Kind of take the Gears of War out of it, try new things with the actual game. So why not try a new date, a new slot, like try to see how it does there? Because spring releases are doing pretty well. If you guys remember this past year, I think it's a good time to release a game like this, because it kind of be by itself and it's not competing with the CODs and the Battlefields and this and that, all the games in the fall. So if you look at it from that perspective, it would be kind of interesting to see how it did. Because if it did really well, then it could potentially be, a trend going forward with the company. Because there's a lot of people that bag on Microsoft, surprise, surprise, right? For choosing the wrong date to release their games, and this would be an opportunity to prove the haters wrong. Say, hey, we're dropping in March. Enjoy it. But if you look at it the other way, you're going to be releasing Crackdown in February, and then March you come out with Gears. That's pretty, boom, boom, boom. So I don't know, man.
Well, here's my take on it. And, it does sound like it's probably full of baloney. I think Witty Mass in the chat says that March 31st sounds like an odd day because that's a Sunday and it's like a placeholder. And he could be right. But here's my take on it. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to have to kind of agree with Salty. And I'll say why. Because, one, you avoid the big glut of massive games coming in the fall, which means Gears would have, a 6-7 month window to kind of enjoy sort of almost to itself from a pure multiplayer perspective, a chance to grow its audience, a chance to kind of settle in, so to speak, by the time they release the DLC. Yes, it could come out very close to Crackdown, but we're not 100% sure that Crackdown's even going to make February. For all we know, that could slide out or could be moved ahead, could be moved forward. But I think those two games have a strong enough identity on their own that they shouldn't overlap or play too much factor in with each other. I mean, Gears will obviously be the bigger game. And the other side of the coin is, if you think about it, we know that Microsoft's got all of these studios. We don't really know how long all of these studios have been signed or how long they've been working on their games. And we don't really know what's in Microsoft's playbook for next fall. We kind of know, or we're expecting possibly a Forza game. But basically, at this point, what's for next fall for Microsoft? Maybe one of their new studios has a massive hit IP, or at least we hope it's going to be a hit, waiting in the wings, and they don't want to cross paths. They want to let the new IP sort of settle in and find its groove so they don't cross over. I think that could be a possibility, that there is some stuff in the pipeline from Microsoft that they just haven't announced, and they're trying to avoid, like I said, too much overlap, and they give Gears that leeway to grow and nurture for 7 or 8 months, and it gets a little more media attention because whereas normally March, April of the year, very dry. There's not a lot of games you can focus in, that sort of thing. I mean, it's hard to say, but I mean, based on the trailers from E3, it looks like it's pretty polished. We do know that Rod and company at Coalition have been working on this for probably quite some time, so I would assume that it's fairly far along in the process. So I'm not ruling it out. I'm still doubtful, but that's my thoughts on it. I wouldn't be 100% surprised. I think it'd be cool to come out. I mean, hey, we saw Horizon Zero Dawn come out last year in February, and this year we saw God of War drop a couple of months ago. Two massively successful titles for Sony that could have easily come out in the fall, but they didn't. So I think both of those titles, basically rode extra success because the time frame they came out in. Anybody else have anything more to add on this, or should we move right along?
We're good.
I'm good.
Okay. Second of all, guys, just got to remind everybody that, yes, we haven't forgotten that we are running sort of a contest, per se, if you want to call it that. We are going to be giving away a console of your choice. That is right, a console of your choice. If we can ever hit 300 people watching this damn podcast, I guess we suck so bad we can barely hit 50. But if we ever hit 300, we are going to collectively pitch in, and we are going to buy one of you lucky fuckers the console of your choice. So if you spread the word and get it out there, hopefully at some point we can hit 300. I know it's not astronomical, but it would be a nice number to hit. I think we got a fantastic podcast. I think we got a wonderful panel. So people just got to share the love, man. Spread the link. And I know we're going to be a little bit lower on numbers tonight because we're on my channel, and most people don't even know that Noof Nukem has a channel. So people are like, what the hell is going on with the podcast tonight? But anyway, getting off track, I do want to say we are going to give away that console. We just got to hit the lucky 300. So there you go. Jago, what's going on, my brother? Thanks for tuning in. We're going to catch up with you soon. Tryhard fam, what's going on, dudes? Let's move right along to the next topic of the evening. Just wanted to talk very quickly about Warhammer Vermintide. The beta's been out for a couple of weeks. I'm not sure if it's still running, but the game itself is supposed to be available in Game Pass, I think, by the end of this week, if I'm correct. So, guys, who's had a chance to play Warhammer Vermintide 2? What do you think of it? And do you think this is a great bonus for Game Pass right now to sort of get a pretty new title that actually seems like it's pretty good? So I'll get your take on it. Let's start with the guest, Salty. What do you think, man?
Hey, I enjoyed the first game, but it had kind of issues. But I actually haven't tried the beta, but I've heard a lot of my friends that have tried it, and they're like in love with this game. First of all, the creators of this game, we all know them, right? The Left 4 Dead series. It's a fun type of game, and I don't know about the enemy type. I still don't enjoy giant rats. I don't know why. That's the thing. I guess it's a storyline that connects all that stuff. But I like the direction that they're taking with this. And I love the fact that it's dropping day and date in Game Pass, because that just shows you that Microsoft's not fooling around, right? It's not a huge title, right? But it's a third-party title. It's dropping day and date, and that adds to the value of Game Pass. If they want to get to that Netflix of gaming, they're going to have to do this, and they're going to have to do it on a massive level. And they're starting that trend with, adding Fallout 4 and Elder Scrolls Online. Those have been out for a while, but, developing and fostering those relationships that they already have with Bethesda and all these other companies. Once you see this grow and you see the user base grow, because we're seeing good trends with Game Pass, right? A lot of the naysayers were like, well, if they drop these games day and date, it's going to take away from the sales. But what did we see? We saw the exact opposite, right? Yep. The games dropped in there. Sea of Thieves, lots of good sales, actually more than they thought. State of Decay 2, what happened? Sold more than they thought. So you see these developers start seeing these trends. Hey, this is going to help my sales. It's not going to take away from it. And they're like, hell, I'll put it in there. And then they start developing relationships, get bigger and bigger publishers to put their shit in there. And it's like a snowball rolling down the hill. And then it gets to where they want to get, So I think this game is going to be awesome. I can't wait to try it, honestly.
I'll just add 2 cents and I'll let the panel speak here. But one great thing about this is I think for any game that's not, say, a big budget AAA that doesn't come with a huge marketing budget, Game Pass is their marketing budget. You know what I mean? Because basically there's two things that can happen. People can try Game Pass and use it as like a demo tester where they can find out if they like the game or not. And so far, I think we're seeing that happen. People are trying games that they normally wouldn't have bought. And even if they don't keep Game Pass, they're going out and buying the copy digitally or on disc, you know, and it's great marketing promotion. I think a lot of these games will find new life under Game Pass just because they're there and they're accessible. And because I mean, I can already attest by being a recent Game Pass subscriber, thanks to Free Jack. Shout out to Free Jack. I mean, I've been able to try games that for whatever reason I just passed up on way back when, and now I'm going back and playing them, like AKA's Zombie Army Trilogy, and actually really enjoying the hell out of it, including a few other games. So kudos to them. I'll speak more in a second just about Vermintide itself, but let's get over to MC Warhammer himself, Mr. Invader. How about your thought, man?
yeah, that's right. Resident Warhammer dork here. You know what? I have played I played in the alpha and I played in the beta for Warhammer Vermintide 2, and it is fantastic. I've been loving every moment in that game. It's definitely a step up from the previous game that was actually free. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, a few months back,
it was
with Games with Gold. And was definitely a good snag. But yeah, no, Vermintide 2, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of improvement in the lighting. The maps seem a lot larger. And it's fun. The gameplay is so smooth, solid. And the enemies, okay, yes, you do have the Skaven, again, the rats. But then you also have Chaos Spawn, the Chaos Soldiers, Barbarians. And there's a few other things thrown into the mix. And even... I think there's a few more classes that you can choose from as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, everything's just buttery smooth. I love the way the gameplay is. It takes a lot of heavy influence from the Left 4 Dead series. It's smooth, it's fun, and
the graphics, they look so good on the X, man. Like they were shining. I said, like, man, the force in that game looked better than it did in the friggin' Battlefront on Endor.
Yeah, no, it's exactly. The amount of detail in the game is so good, and I don't know, the combat's just so solid. From whether you're shooting at guys with crossbow or just hacking and slashing, everything is just so smooth, and I'm having just so much fun playing it. I definitely plan on, well, possibly picking it up myself or even trying it out in Game Pass again, because this game, I know it's not going to be on a lot of people's radars, but I'm definitely going to be recommending it to everybody because of just how much fun it is. You get that, you get that certain experience that you haven't had since, like, well, I was going to say Evolve, but obviously Evolve went the way of the dodo. But, that Left 4 Dead experience that you just can't get anymore, and you get it in Warhammer Vermintide.
Amen to that. Amen. Great thoughts, guys. Great thoughts indeed. Yeah, very cool game. How about you, Primal? Have you had a chance to dip in and cut the assholes off of some of these rats or what?
I haven't yet. I still have the beta, though, installed, and I did just boot it up to see if it was still working. Someone else had also mentioned that it's still up, so I still may end up playing either tonight or sometime this week if anybody's still available, if you guys aren't full. I'm very much looking forward to it because I am a Left 4 Dead fan, and I'm very happy that it's going to be on the Game Pass. I think that the more multiplayer games that they release the night of, the more people they're going to have buying the Game Pass, and it's not that bad to have, like you said, to try out games that you normally wouldn't, and there's some really good games on there too that I've never even heard of before.
Yep, that is true. That is true.
Let me piggyback off of that. Honestly,
I can hop on.
So honestly, it's a great vessel for playing games that I would never try. Honestly, like what was the zombie game? The sniper zombie game?
Zad, the Zombie
Army Trilogy.
Zombie Army Trilogy.
I just started playing that. Oh my god!
I never would have bought that game in a million years, but I played with my friends, had a blast. Moved on to the next game. Like I'm not a big racing fan, but Forza Horizon 4 is going to be dropping in there, so I'll pick that. I'll be playing that. Honestly, when they announced the Warhammer game going in there and some other things, it helped me decide to keep Game Pass, because before that I was just kind of fluctuating. I was like, oh, I'm going to add it for Sea of Thieves, and I'll cancel it, or State of Decay 2, I got bored with it, so I'm going to cancel it. It's like when they get enough of these games in there, it keeps you with Game Pass like for the foreseeable future. So I'm going to stay with Game Pass because they keep me here with games like Warhammer and then Forza and then all this other stuff. So it's a good thing.
And just think about that. When Gears 5 drops, it's going straight into Game Pass. Talk about value. Boom, bang, boom, man. Like, holy, done deal. Anyway, let's get over to Mr. Stinking Corbs. You got a boner for this game, brother, or what?
Well, now, because all I've heard is like good stuff. I mean, I still haven't played the beta. I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I think. But I played the first one with you, Noof, and Fuzzy Belvedere. Because, it was free on Games with Gold earlier. I think it was towards last year or the beginning of this year. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It is a little weird fighting these big rats and stuff, but it's a cool game. Yeah. But yeah, all I've heard is good stuff about it. So, and that seeing that James Durden, aka Garain, has said that the beta's still up and going. I'm gonna have to download that and check it out. And then you saying that it looks better than the Forza Indoor. I mean, I thought that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then being in Game Pass and like Salty said, the expectations went just the opposite. Everyone said no, it's gonna be bad for the games, but no, it turned out to be good for the games because more people were buying it. So I mean, hell, that's a win-win right there. So yeah, I'm gonna buy that whenever it comes out.
Yeah. Well, for those of you guys who don't know, Warhammer Vermintide, I mean, obviously it's tied to Warhammer, a very popular series that goes back to PC, etc. I mean, this game itself, for a lot of you who may have never played it, it is very similar to Left 4 Dead and how the levels go. You kind of go from point to point to point until you finish the level. You kind of get to your safe house, complete your missions, etc. But I will say, compared to the first game, and I didn't play the first game a lot, but there's more missions, there's more level variety, the graphics are greatly improved, there's more character variety, there's more weapons, the play control is smoothing out. I think they've adjusted the AI a little bit as well. It can be overwhelming at times, but if you got a good team, you can definitely make it work. You just got, like I said, you got to know how to team up and do things right. It is a ton of fun. Curse on those damn rats though, with the giant freaking with the damn choking leashes. Those guys drive me nuts.
Yeah, those are crazy.
Oh yeah,
they got some really cool. They're very reminiscent of the guy in Left 4 Dead, the guy with the tongue that would suck you into the trees, and you look behind and your buddy's missing. You're like, hey, I'm getting dragged away. They're pretty much like that, and of course, and the enemies have very different AI. It can be thick in one section, and it can thin out. So like the gameplay experience is not always the same, but it looks like a really cool game. Now that it's in Game Pass, it's super awesome value. I think even if this game is what, $40-$50 at retail, it still wouldn't be a bad proposition. Getting a Game Pass is just a total win-win. It's a cool game. As I said to Dealer, I said this game would be awesome if they made a Lord of the Rings game on this engine with the gameplay mechanics. I would totally buy into that. I'd love to play a first-person Lord of the Rings style game like this. That would be right up my alley. But anyway, let's move along. Let's get into the next topic of the evening. And this one's a bit small. We've got a lot of Anthem talk over the last few days after the 20 minutes of footage. I don't know how many of you guys got to watch the 20-minute demonstration, but it was quite impressive, at least in my opinion. Apparently, they're saying Anthem will let you turn off the damage icons above, I guess, like enemies' heads and stuff. So if you don't want to be distracted with like the little numbers, that's going to be pretty cool. So let's start with, we're going to go with Primal on this one to kick things off. Primal, I mean, it's only a minor thing. This shouldn't take us too long to talk about. What? How do you feel about just being able to turn off certain things? Because I know in some games it can be overbearing and distracting. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's just great that you're able to customize a lot. Like they keep on letting us know more things that we can do in the game. But for me, I personally put on numbers. I want to see how much damage I'm doing and what it is that I'm doing differently that's going to increase the damage, or if I'm fucking up and I'm screwing over my teammates and not doing any damage. But I think it's great. There's nothing negative about being able to turn your damage off or on. Like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, we need to be able to turn the numbers on when we're having sex, right? So you can figure out how far along we are. Hey, I'm 45% of the way in. Another 50 pumps should do it. Let's rock and roll.
It's just 0, 0, 0, 0. Right.
Your little enjoyment level is going above your head. Oh, this guy isn't tickling me yet.
Right.
Sorry, guys. Had to get raunchy at least once today.
A little bit.
Cool. Anybody else want to jump in here? Let's go with Salty.
It's fucking terrible. Why'd they do such a thing? God damn. That's all I have to say.
Well, if you want to add anything to that, because I know I haven't talked to you guys a lot about this subject, but I mean, just even your impression of the demo, because it is hard to talk about, some stupid ass numbers that you can turn on or off about the heads. I mean, I personally just think that it's cool that you can turn it off because, sometimes when you see those numbers and you see them in the Division, you see them in other games, they kind of pull you out of the experience. It starts to make you feel like you're actually playing a game. Whereas if you could turn it off, you're second guessing yourself as to how many hits it's going to take. But at the same time, it just feels like you're more immersed. You know what I mean? It takes that arcade score vibe out of games.
Yeah. What I don't know, like those type of games like the Division, Destiny, Elder Scrolls Online, all that stuff, you're trying to like min-max your gear to do the most damage against those enemies, like especially if you're like fighting bosses. So like if you kind of change stuff around, then you start getting crits. It helps you to maximize your gear, if that makes sense. So in a game like Anthem, you're going to want to like be as proficient as you can when you're trying to kill these enemies. So I think it's cool for immersion, like if you want to be more immersed in the environment. But with these type of games, it's good to have those numbers. So
yeah. And were you impressed with the 20-minute demo footage?
Dude, I had a chub the whole time. Let me tell you, man. I had to call the doctors. It was like 4 hours after. Still had an erection. It was crazy. But I'm looking forward to this game. It's my most anticipated game of 2019, followed by Gears 5. I am so excited to be able to experience what it's going to be like to be Iron Man / go on ground and fight these aliens and then go underwater. This game just has all the elements that I like. It's a shooter. It has loot mechanics. It has insane graphics. The developer I love, BioWare, is doing the game. It's just going to be awesome. I can't wait, honestly. So
Primal, you like the footage? Which what do you call it? What the hell did he call those damn
Javelins.
things? Which javelin do you think you're going to roll in first?
I have no idea. I have to. I'm one of those people that has to write everything out first before I decide which one I want to go with. So.
Gotcha.
She likes riding.
Stinky, what'd you think, man? What you think about the whole turning on off the number or the opacity of the number, and just about the game and the 20-minute demo itself? You impressed, or are you ready to pass?
No, I'm definitely impressed. I like the idea of turning that off because it gives you that uncertainty. You don't know how close you are to defeating them. The game looks beautiful. I love BioWare. Huge fan of the BioWare stuff. They do great stuff 90% of the time. That demo, dude, that's awesome. As far as the javelin that I'll probably go with would probably be the Colossus.
Nice. Invader,
Yo,
you're up.
Alrighty. Let's see here. Well, like I've seen a little bit of the footage that you guys are talking about, and the gameplay does look pretty fantastic from what I've seen. As far as the flashing numbers go, like I can understand, people like that's a nice option to have to be able to turn it off, and you kind of get a pure experience. Just kind of seeing the screen without any like floaty things just kind of in the air and distracting you. But at the same time, you got to know the health of the enemy, because if you're just shooting at a guy, you're just gonna it's all about leveling, right, in these kinds of games. So you want to make sure that you come with the right gun, and you want to know the stats of the enemy, so on and so forth, how much health they have and whatnot. So I don't know, it could detract from the actual like RPG experience, but you leave it up to the player, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, real quick, people are talking about what mech they want to use. From what I heard from other people, and this could be wrong, you start with the Ranger and then you unlock the other ones as you progress through the game. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to, pick the Colossus first. I think you all start with the Ranger. So,
and then for what I heard too, that there's going to be more other than just those four.
Yeah.
Right. That's yeah. I can see them definitely adding more as they go along, and certainly lots of skins for the game itself. That's where they're going to try to make their money. But they say they won't have what is it, loot crates, which is pretty cool. That's good to know. Good on them for that. Obviously, EA is definitely reevaluating their situation after the Battlefront fiasco, but. You know, that was overblown too, but that's a story for another day. I just wanted to add one cool thing that most people, I guess it's not really a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal for me as a BioWare fan and playing many of their previous games. I think it's huge that this game apparently is supposed to be a 4-player co-op game. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yes.
4-player co-op, guys. Think about that. I mean, man, if Mass Effect Andromeda even had a 4-player co-op mode, or any of the Mass Effect series for that matter, because I mean, that's what I've said. It would be so cool to play Mass Effect, and instead of just going it alone, that somebody could have been Miranda, somebody could have been Garrett, somebody could have been or what's his name, Rex, or what, you know what I mean?
Rex.
Think of how cool the Mass Effect games would be with that system in it. So kudos to them. I know 4 players, nothing new, but it's kind of new for BioWare. They're in sort of uncharted territory, and we're running those graphics the way we saw in that video. Like, holy hell.
Beautiful.
That was amazing. And you're looking at the variety in the levels because of the elevations, right? Because one minute you're going head on, the next minute you're in the sky. Like, so the level is always changing in the way that you approach your missions and stuff. And I thought it just looked amazing. I thought the lighting itself was blowing my mind, the explosions and stuff. It's looking really good, man. And hopefully it makes its target release date, because I'm pretty excited about it. And I definitely think it'll be a day one. Probably that one and Crackdown for me in February. I think those are my 2 excited ones. All righty, let's move into the next topic. Warframe. This game's been out for quite a while on console. It's sort of, you know, it's kind of quietly garnered a lot of popularity. I know there's some people that play it religiously. It's obviously become a very big game, despite the fact that it seems like nobody's talking about it. But now people are sort of talking about it again because it is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and some people are planning to jump onto that. What do you guys think about Warframe? I'll start with our guests to kick things off on this one, and then we'll go with Invader. But what do you think of Warframe in general, and what do you think of it coming to the Switch? Another feather in its cap, or you think it's kind of one of those games just it's popular today and forgotten tomorrow?
No, I think it's really good, honestly. I like Warframe. It's a grindy-ass game, and it started in the PC realm, and you have to really enjoy grinding in games to enjoy this game, but it's very popular. It's one of the most popular games on PC, and it's continued its trend. It's a free-to-play game, but you know, it keeps adding content on the regular. You know, the Plains of Adelon was the last one. That was the open world experience. And now they're doing space combat, and they're adding, I think, an open world for Venus. So if you look at what this team is doing with this game, they're kind of putting Destiny to shame. I'm not going to lie, like with the things that they're doing, the things they're trying. People have been asking for space combat in Destiny, and we still don't have it, and that's kind of a shame there. But, you know, the fact that this game is getting, you know, ported over to the Switch is amazing, because I could just picture myself playing it on the Switch. And as we know, the Switch is kind of on like in a down period when it comes to the games that are coming out on there. So it's nice to have these games that have longevity to them, like Fortnite or Paladins, which they just got, and then Warframe, because Warframe has a very long longevity. It's been going for years. So I feel like Nintendo's trying to pick up these games to be long lasting and not kind of a short thing, you know. Yeah. So it's awesome in my opinion. I really want to know if it's going to have cross-play with the Xbox, because it is a grindy game, and it's going to suck balls if I have to go get my Warframes again. Because if you know what it takes to like get the components of a Warframe, it is grindy as fuck. So if I have to get all the parts and the frames, that would suck. If it has cross progression, I'm all about it. I'll still play it regardless, you know. So I think it's amazing. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Just a big shout out again to the chat, guys. You are fantastic. Shout out to Grain, who's joins us tonight. We got Christina in the chat as well. We've got a few other, like Bon Bon is up in the chat here. Little Bon Jovi, as he's known on Xbox, is a great gamer, good dude. Alex Triard fan is here. Cyber Gunter's in the house. James Dolasek again. Dreadpool. The list goes on. Coke Viper. Thanks for coming out, guys. The Indie Gamer as well. Witty Mass. Thanks for coming out. Irrelevant Natives up in the house. What's going on, Irrelevant? But anyway, let's head it over and let's keep this topic rolling. Are you ready to go to war, Invader, on the Switch?
Keep rolling. No, it's good that the Switch is picking up this game. It's a very cool game. Been around, well, it feels like forever now. But Warframe, it's funny. I mean, I didn't really feel an attachment to it. I played it a little bit, but I do definitely understand what Salty means by the grind fest that it is. It's definitely a very grindy game, but it's a very cool game. I mean, it's got a very interesting story to it, and the mechanics to it just work very well. And it has a lot of Destiny-esque things going for it. And for the platform as new as a Switch, it definitely could use that type of game on there, since it's kind of lacking in that kind of, like, how do you want to put it, sci-fi kind of third-person shooter kind of thing going on. And yeah, no, it's good. It's good for the Switch, and hopefully, as Salty said, you know, we find out about you know, the whole account business. Hopefully, there's some cross-play. That would be cool. And I don't know if it's just me. I saw some of the gameplay for it. It looks like it took a bit of a downgrade with it being on the Switch. So I'm not sure what other kind of downgrades there would be for the game besides maybe some graphic fidelity. But yeah.
Well, the game's been out for a while now. It is on a bit of an older engine and stuff, so it's probably a game that the Switch could run relatively well. I'm sure there'll be a few compensations, the frame rate and stuff like that, but and I'll give you my 2 cents worth in just a second. Let's keep the topic rolling with our lady gamer here, who I hear through the grapevine likes to grind quite a bit. So are you planning to do it with Warframe?
Boom, boom, boom.
I did a lot of grinding throughout my ears. With Warframe though, I had played it at launch. It was a free game, you know. I'm still free, I think. And I played for a couple of days, and I just couldn't get hooked. And I know that they've done a lot of updates, and there's been a lot of changes and stuff. So for me, that's cool. Switch, you can take a ride on the Warframe train. But it's just not. It's cool. Like, I really don't have an opinion. I don't have a Switch, but I know for people who enjoy Warframe, I know people who absolutely love Warframe, that it would be great to have on the go.
All right, Corbs, does Warframe get head, or is it totally dead? Which is
I know of the game. I've not played the game. But, you know, more games moving over to the Switch is a good thing for Nintendo, especially, you know, if it's kind of in a lull right now. So I really don't have really a view on the game because I haven't played it. I just know of it.
Yeah. Well, I've heard nothing but good things about the game itself. I've seen various videos. I've seen streamers play it. For me, it's not so much that I don't think I'm willing to give it a try, as it's just that it's one of those games, like Salty said, is a large grind into it. A lot of those free-to-play games have that style of play where if you're going to get good at it and you're going to get the time, and that's just it. I got so many other games that I paid $60 and $70 and $80 for that are on my backlog. I just can't see myself investing in a free-to-play game like that. It just doesn't work for me, which is a big reason, again, why I don't really care to get into Fortnite, and I don't care to get into almost any of those free-to-play games, because while they might be exciting, like I've got other games that I think I'd rather play, and that's just me. I think it's cool, and I think it's awesome it's coming to the Switch. I hope lots of people gravitate to it there, because, again, Switch needs these things. Big question for me is, how's Warframe, how's Fortnite, how's a lot of these games going to play into Nintendo's infrastructure once they drop their $20 charge this fall for their online? Are those games going to be exempt, or will you still have to pay to play them, which is kind of a question I'm wondering about, that sort of thing. I'm guessing they're going to be exempt because they're free now, but I don't know. Like Mario Kart might be underneath Nintendo's window come this fall, right? It's been free for what, over a year now, but like I'm quite interested to see where Nintendo takes their online
I
this
think
fall.
You have to play online, I think.
Yeah, so there you go, right? So a lot of things are going to change in the Nintendo environment once those guys start. I mean, it's not much, $20 a month, but the thing is, if you're only playing one game, say, on the Switch, is it going to be worth your $20? For me, like paying $60 for Xbox is a no-brainer because there's so many games that I play online, plus all the extra value with the games. Nintendo is a bit of a question mark for me. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just going to say Warframe, great that it is on the Switch, and hopefully it finds some love there. And hopefully, like I said, they extend the crossplay like Salty mentioned, because that would be awesome for the game. It'd be awesome for extending its life cycle over on the Xbox and probably PC as well. So anyone else have anything to add on that?
Nope.
Not really.
All right. Just a reminder again, people, that yes, we are going to be giving away a console at some point in time. It could be 3 years down the road if we keep getting 30 and 40 people in the house. But if we ever hit the magical number of 300, we're going to give away a console of your choice. So who knows? If it takes us 2 years to get there, you might be getting one of the new ones. But in the meantime, we're not worried about the time frame. We're just hoping you guys come out and do enjoy the Game Dosage podcast. We appreciate you guys showing up here. Big time indeed. So let's get over to, we only got a couple more topics before we close tonight's podcast. I wanted to talk a little bit right now, just about quickly, and this won't take too long. The Crew 2 just recently came out. It's kind of a big racing game. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's gotten extremely low Metacritic scores. I think right now it's sitting in the 60s, about 67, which is not overly good for a game that technically you would have been a lot higher. Very involving game. The beta was just out as well. Shout out to True Gamer, and did a review on his channel about this game. So if you want to go check him out, and who is a racing resident, he'll definitely give you his impression of the game itself. I wasn't too impressed with the beta. What do you guys think about this particular, the Crew 2? It's low scores. Do you think the low scores could kill this game, or the game will live on if it at least sells well? We're going to start with the boner man himself, the dead man, Stinking Corpse.
Yeah, I think
our resident stiff.
Yeah, them damn boners. I think, of course, it could possibly kill it. I played the beta for it. I never played the first Crew. I played the beta for the second, just because Dirty J, he was playing it, and we were in a party chat, and he's like, "Yo, you gotta maybe download this," but playing it by myself's kind of boring. He's like, "Oh, whatever, I'll download it," and so we can figure out how to play together. And we did, and we didn't really play. We didn't do really any of the game stuff per se. We just plotted courses across the map, and we just drove, and we just went off the road, and that was kind of fun. The graphics didn't look too bad. But it was announced, after the Forza Horizon 4 was shown. So I think a lot of people are they're waiting for Forza, and they're not picking this game up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's head over and hear from Invader.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I haven't picked it up. I did play the beta, and I find it to be kind of a weird beast, to be honest with you. Some aspects of it are pretty fun, like switching from the boat to the plane. I found some of the controls sluggish, and even some of the voice acting in the game I found to be a little off.
Easy.
Personally. Yeah, just off. There's a few things that are off. Maybe it was just me, but at the same time, I don't know where this franchise is gonna go. It didn't really wow me from the videos that I've seen, from the people that I've talked to about the game. It does have some unique elements to it, don't get me wrong. It's just I don't know if this is going to be a franchise that's going to really live on going forward, especially since there are other racing games that are doing so much right now, like Forza Horizon 4. Everybody that I talk to seems to be pretty pumped for Forza Horizon right now, and nobody's talking about the Crew 2.
Right.
Even a game like Onrush, I've heard more stuff about that new Onrush game that I have about the Crew 2.
Yeah. Well, just to highlight the chat. Hello, Shannon. Lovely. What's going on? The indie gamer, the Crew 2, is lacking in many ways. Tried to do too much and end up being lacking and mediocre, in my opinion. And indie gamer, I'm going to agree with you 100% because that's what I felt like just playing the beta. I felt like it's trying to be too many things to too many people. It's trying to beat Forza in a lot of different ways by adding so much stuff. And I think they've convoluted the game. Just concentrate on what you do best. You don't necessarily have to have more than a competition. I think you just need to do it better. And if you're trying to be too many things things to everyone. A lot of times something falls through the cracks, that sort of thing. And also, yes, very bad voice acting, some cheesy dialogue. I didn't like the plane sections at all, et cetera, et cetera. And the crazy part about it is, like, if the crew, I mean, obviously the crew is not doing well Metacritic scores. I mean, I know we can't judge everything by Metacritic. We've said this before. We don't want to be hypocrites here. Metacritic's not the be-all, end-all. Go try the game if you're at least interested or you like racing games. But the key is, if it flops from a score perspective and it flops from a sales, most importantly, does the Crew 2 stand a chance of getting another game? I mean, Ubisoft doesn't put out many racing games as it is. It's one of their only feathers in their cap. But we've saw what happened to some other racers when they didn't fulfill a lot of expectations, like the one on the PlayStation, which was super hyped. What do you call it? Drive Club. And now that Forza Horizon 3 has really set the bar, it's a tricky landscape for every other competitor coming out. I mean, we obviously saw EA basically axe Need for Speed this year. No talk of it anywhere, and they definitely need to figure out what's going on. I think I got to agree with Dealer Gaming. Get rid of that Ghost Games because they can't make a racer to save their soul. So get rid of that stupid studio. Find somebody that knows how to do a friggin' racing game worth of shit. I'm sure they got people that can do it. Find a studio that used to make, wasn't Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, and bring them back. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm saying. I don't know why to keep handing off these games to people that just have 3 or 4 attempts at it and still can't get it right. And I think with Need for Speed, not to get off track, but Need for Speed has tried changing its formula too many times. They stop sticking with what works and they try like copying other racers, and then they end up kind of screwing up their formula. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get over to the panel. Enough about Noof. He's going to shut his trap. Let's get over and let's hear from Primal.
I had played the first Crew, and I wasn't really into it. Racing games really aren't my thing. But you made me think about Need for Speed now. Which is a shame that Need for Speed isn't Need for Speed, because I remember every single year it was like the new Need for Speed is coming out and everybody's like, yeah, I gotta get it, and now it's like, what? But the Crew 2, I think it'll be okay, because I'm sure that there's people who are big fans and they've been waiting for it, and now that they have it, but I feel like eventually, it's gonna die. It's gonna die out, and no one's even gonna remember the game.
Might be on life support already. It's crazy. I'm hearing the beeping sound already.
I thought I was vibrating again. No. But yeah, no, like, especially like you said with Forza coming out, it's like, what the hell is the Crew? No one's really going to care about playing that at all. So. Gotcha.
Alrighty, let's head over. Who do we not hear from yet? Did we not hear from Salty? You haven't had a chance to chime in on this one, right?
What? We're talking about, oh shit, we're talking about
snooze? Are we talking about the snooze?
I don't care, really. RIP, pour one out for this game, and yeah. Forza Horizon
just get on
4.
with it, eh?
It is what it is.
Man, that is sad, eh? And that's the thing, when a game sort of comes out of nowhere and nobody's really begging for the sequel, and it just comes out, you're just like, what is going on? You know, so, crazy. I don't think anybody in the chat or anybody on this panel kind of going, oh my god, I can't wait for a Crew 2.
I was surprised that they even have a Crew 2, because I remember the first one just wasn't really received all that well anyways, from what I remember. So.
Exactly. You know, and you'd think they'd make it a lot better. In some ways, yes, they did. But as I said, when you're trying to be so many things to so many people in one game, not every game can pull off Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? And that's what some of these racing games are trying to become. It's like they're trying to do boats, they're trying to do planes, they're trying to do bikes. They've done everything but trains now and shit logs floating down a toilet. Pretty soon, that's what we'll have. We'll have little sails on shit loaves and we'll be floating down a toilet trying to race each other. That could be an interesting game, by the way. Shit Racer. Stinking Corpse. Chow down, man. Pipe in.
I've already, I mean, you already asked me about that when you called me the boner man, so.
I thought that was the last topic. I don't know. I can't keep track of the chat.
Nope. But I agree. The toilet bowl racing could be an interesting take of a racing game. So,
absolutely. Who did I not get to on this topic?
I think you've got everybody.
All right, we got everybody. All right, let's head on to the next topic since the Crew 2 is putting everybody to sleep. Let's get down to Ghost of Tsushima, one of the most highly anticipated games to come out. well, hopefully soon for the PlayStation 4. Who knows? It could be coming out for the PS5. Digital Foundry did a video. I didn't really get to go in depth on the video itself too much, but he did say early on that it didn't seem like it was running on a current gen engine. It seemed like it could be possibly a next gen engine it was running it, according to some of the lighting, the amount of detail with the flowers and stuff. So let's hear I'll go with the guest to start off on this one, since he's probably one of the more versed tech gurus here. Salty, man, did you have a chance to kind of get the Digital Foundry video? And do you think like the footage is legit and it's coming from a PS4 Pro, or do you think maybe it's played up a little bit here?
Yeah, I don't know, man. When it comes to Digital Foundry, they seem to kind of tell the story they want to tell, you know? So when I saw this game, I was like, there's no way this shit's running on PlayStation hardware, but they were kind of preaching that it was, because did you see how good that game looked? Oh my God, like it's fucking crazy. And I know that, you know, God of War was looking fantastic, and PlayStation's putting out games that looked very sophisticated when it comes to, you know, the hardware, you know, like with Detroit and all, and like I said, God of War. But this was some next level shit. If you looked at the lighting and everything else, the detail on it was, when I saw it, like just straight reaction to what I was seeing, I was like, this shit's running on a PC. There's no way, you know, because they like to do that when they're doing these demos on stage. They usually run them on some good PC tech and show it to the best quality and ability that they want to show it. But they keep saying, hey, this is running on PlayStation hardware, but they didn't say what hardware that is. It could be next gen. I kind of tend to believe that this game is going to release on next gen. You know, I don't know when next gen is going to be, but I don't think this game is coming out on PlayStation Pro. That's just my opinion. So,
all right, Invader, what's your thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima?
Well, you know what? Like Salty said, like they did say that it was running on a PlayStation 4 Pro, but I don't know, man. Just everything looks so advanced. I watched the majority of the video, and yeah, everything just seems way too advanced for it to be running on current gen hardware. Just with some of the lighting effects, even if you go back to like you see all these like leaves bustling around while there's a fight scene going on, and then you're riding on a horse, and then the way that the grass is just kind of flowing, like there's all these little things going on in the game, and I don't know, it seems like it's still gonna be far off. I'm excited for the game. It looks fantastic from what they showed there, but like I don't know, it just seems so early off. We don't even know what kind of a UI it's gonna have, because you're not seeing anything. It's just like a landscape. You can't really see, you know, what the guy has, you know, health bar or anything like that. But yeah, it seems like a very like too technically advanced to me at this point in time, unless they have some like PS like 4 Pro going on in the background that we don't know about. No, but it's the Pro. Yeah, it could be. No, but it seems like something that way off though. I mean, it looks it's probably the most interesting game that I've seen from them, like that catches my eye, and I'm very excited to see what Sucker Punch does, like, because it looks phenomenal. I'm very interested in the story that they're going to be telling and the action, but yeah, it just seems like it's going to be a little far off right now.
Yeah. All right, let's head over and hear from Stinking Corpse the Boner Man chime in. And by the way, shout out to UK Daz, who just showed up in the chat. I guess he was out chopping some wood, which means he's in the chat room feeling kind of naughty right now.
Yeah, out there getting that wood.
All right, Stinky, chime in, brother.
I'm gonna kind of agree. Like Mr. Kima in chat is saying that, you know, it's running on PS4 Pro dev kit. I could see that, because definitely when I saw that, the first thing I thought was it's not running on a retail PS4 Pro, anything that's commercially available. Me personally, I was thinking PC, because yes, of course, you want to show your games off. You want to make them look as great as you can when you show them off. And we've all seen this before of what's happened with different developers, and sometimes when the game's finally released, they don't look quite the same. So if they're going to keep it looking the way it's looking, it's got to be next gen.
Yeah. All right, Primal, what's your take on Ghost of Tsushima?
I don't have one.
Are you not into samurai games? Or, you know, so then again, of course, you still got to hook yourself up with the PS4, but I mean,
maybe
regardless.
But no, it's not.
If you had a PS4, would this game even be floating your boat right now or no?
Like graphically, yeah, it looks absolutely great, but I still would have to see more. Like I love myself a good hack and slash type game, but
right.
I don't know, something about it's just not hitting the right spots for me. It's getting 0. So,
So what you're saying is it's getting it dry, not moist.
Yeah.
All right, it sounds like Ghost of Tsushima is getting 0 twats out of 4 on this particular review. The early verdict is in. It's not moist enough. My thought on Ghost of Tsushima is game looks cool. I'm definitely interested in it. I haven't really seen enough kind of to sink your teeth into, which is typical of a lot of Sony's early releases. I don't even think this game is coming out anytime soon. I'd say it's still a good year away. Like I'm thinking it doesn't even come out in 2019. You know what I mean? Like that's just my thought. I could be wrong. But I mean, in all fairness, it's Sony and their developers. I put nothing past their teams because they pulled off some amazing feats already with the PlayStation 4. I mean, who would have thought like God of War, for example, would have blown us away the way it did this year? It just seems like every time they come up with a game, their teams manage to push their engines in areas that you never thought possible. It's not to take away anything from some of the Xbox teams. Like, for example, the Gears franchise looks unbelievable as well. Rise, Son of Rome, still one of the best games looking this generation, in my personal opinion. And that game came out years ago. Kudos to Crytek, who knows their graphic shit. But, I mean, the one little thing about the Ghost of Tsushima that stood out to me, there was no HUD on the screen whatsoever. There was no button prompts. It was very plain. It almost looked like more of a tech demo, essentially, than it looked like a game, because essentially you got on a horse, you went up to the shed, you saw some dude, you jumped down, had a couple of sword fights, wah-dee-da, and I think that's cool. I think if they mastered the sword fighting mechanics of the game, it's going to be quite interesting, and I'm interested to see where they go with it. Like, I don't know, is that game supposed to be a sort of open world, semi-open world, or is that like a linear narrative? Does anybody know?
I don't know. I don't know if they've said.
I think from what I can judge, it looks like it's going to be at least semi-open world from the landscapes that we've seen anyways.
Right.
But it's hard to say. They haven't really said, from what I understand, all that much about it. They've just slowly been dripping information about it. Yeah, the world itself, there's still kind of mouth shut on that.
Right. Absolutely. So anyway, like I said, it's too early to say, and it really makes no difference. You can only just give your take on what people say, that sort of thing. And, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I'm sure when it comes out, it'll still probably look phenomenal on the PS4 Pro. So let's move on. We only got a couple more topics here left, guys. Let's get right back into them. Just going to keep closing out my topics list here. Pardon, sorry about that. Let me just get down to it. How's everybody in the chat doing tonight? Everybody's having a good time. Everybody enjoying the show? If you think the show is crap, well, then I guess you can type 0 or leave. But no, we thank everybody for being here. We'll get down to a couple last topics here. What do we got? Actually, I think we pretty much Gaming Bolt. Again, this is one by Glitcher sent me here. I think it's our last topic of the evening. Something about Rage 2. It's not going to have any loading screens and will be basically closer to the promise of the original game in terms of its scope and how the game is going to be played. So that's our final topic. Let's get into that. First of all, who's played the first Rage? Are you excited about the second game? And give us your take on the whole article if you had a chance to go through it. We'll start with our guest first, with Salty.
Yeah, Rage 1. I'm one of the few people that actually liked that game. I think there's some people that have played it, but not a lot of people enjoyed it to the level I did. I know it has its flaws. It kind of looks bland in a lot of areas because it's brown, and I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it because it's a shooter. The wasteland type experience there. So the first one was cool for me, but from looking at the second game, it looks like they turned up everything that needed to be turned up. The gunplay looks amazing. Id's helping them out there, and it just looks like they fixed all the shit that was not good about the first game. So the open world aspect looks cool. The seamless load situation there, that's cool. That's next gen stuff. That's what we need to be seeing in these type of games to kind of help your immersion factor there. I think this game's going to be fucking phenomenal. It just adds on to the list of games I want to play or buy. So I'll just have to sell a kidney to make that happen. So that's about it.
Absolutely. Invader, give us your take on Rage 2.
All right there, brother. Alrighty. Well, I have played the first game. I beat it, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I preferred the first part of it. The second part, it's kind of got a little slower towards the end. But I don't know. Like I'm kind of spent on the whole post-apocalyptic narrative in games these days, except for a few. But the way that this game is shaping up, it does look pretty good. Like Salty said, the gunplay does look fantastic. And Avalanche Studios, I have a lot of confidence in them putting together this game. So I am definitely interested in it. And there's definitely a better color palette in the game too, and a lot of other things. It looks like a refreshing experience. Otherwise, the whole no load screen thing, I didn't know about that. That's fantastic. That's a really next gen thing. I was kind of hoping that we would see that in more games these days, and because I hate just sitting there having a load screen. I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting, and the immersion factor just kind of gets taken out. So that is something pretty awesome that I'd be looking forward to for sure. So I'll be keeping an eye on Rage 2 for sure.
Cool. Stinger Corpse, what's your take, brother?
I didn't play the first one. My good friend UK Dadris, he played it, and he raved about it. Gotcha. And once I saw once it kind of got leaked and they kind of released that little trailer, I was kind of unsure about it. But when I watched the E3 reveal of it, I'm hooked. I want that game now. The game looks cool. So yeah, I'm down for Rage 2, and the no loading. That's even better. That's awesome because, like Invader said, like one game, let's say like Skyrim, you could sit there and wait at a loading screen for a minute or so. It takes that immersion factor away. So something that doesn't have loading screens, it just keeps you going. That's awesome. I'm for that.
All right, and Primal, are you about to rage out on this game? What do you think?
I am actually. I am a fan of post-apocalyptic games. I played a little bit of the first one. I'm okay with seeing nothing but pink and brown. And the fact that it is a seamless transition and no loading, that's a huge deal. Yeah. Especially from playing games for as long as most of us have. A loading screen could be fucking 20 minutes, especially if you're on like a PlayStation 1 and it has a scratch in it and then you're loading for 6 hours. But I do use my load time sometimes to either like take a leak or shovel shit in my mouth, not literal shit, but it would be great just to have the continuous action and not have to stop like that. I think that's a really I think it's a really great thing to have, and it's definitely going to be a good selling point for Rage 2, and it's going to be very appealing. It's very attractive to be seamless.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I wasn't really interested until I saw that trailer, and it did blow me away. I played the first game, never finished it. Gotta admit, fraud alert here. But I played enough of it to know that it was awesome. It had a lot of promise. It had amazing graphics, even on the 360. They pushed the envelope. I think it was Invader or Stinkin' that said, Avalanche Studio, have a lot of faith in them. They were the ones, if I remember correctly, made Mad Max a couple of years ago, and that game was phenomenal. Again, post-apocalyptic world, but they seem to know that environment. Plus, it looks like they took a step out of Doom's book and they upped the like the tempo and the flow of the game, because that was one of the problems that the first game had some wide, vast areas, but it felt very void. Like the combat was great when you got into it, but there was sort of like a lot of parts where you just felt there wasn't enough going on. You know what I mean? It was easy to kind of lose track of what you're doing. This one feels like again, it's the best of both worlds. What made the first game great, but now it's a fully realized game. Not having loading screens is awesome, especially when you got a big open world first person shooter. You don't have, moments where you obviously got that stupid part that a lot of games have where all of a sudden you go into a dialogue and the dude's got their hand up to their ears and they're like, yeah, what was that again, sir? Yes, you just got the next mission. They're there. So you don't have that crap in the game. You don't have a stupid door that you got to stare at for like 40 seconds and you see a little bar going across the screen. Oh, we got to wait another 60 seconds before we get into the actual level. That sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool. It's going to be a good game. And for all you guys out there who are not getting enough action, I suggest that you buy the collector's edition, because at least you'll get some head. It's ugly head, but at least you'll get some head.
Hey, sounds better than none, I guess.
Hey, when you're desperate, you'll take anything, even an ugly head with the teeth all crooked. Sounds like somebody's grandmother. Woo! All right, we had to finish this show on a high note. Anyway, big shout out to everybody up in the chat. Thanks for coming out tonight. I think that ends all of our topics. So it was a great show, great pacing tonight. Anybody on the panel have anything to add before we go? Okay, well, let's get into the outros. Didn't know if anybody had anything funny or random to say or any shit like that. So let's get into our outros. Again, we should be back in the same time, same place next week. Glitcher will be back hosting. This was a rarity for me to host an actual podcast. I hope I did a pretty good job. I like to think that I kept things in order relatively well. It took me a little bit of a slow start because I had to figure out the Google shit again. But anyway, guys, everybody in the chat, you guys are awesome. Let's get over to the outros, and let's start with our guest, Mr. Saltiest Gaming. Salty, what's happening for you this week? I think you got some new videos up online, and of course, you got a couple of shows coming down the pipe.
Yeah, I did a video today. You can check it out on my YouTube channel, Saltiest Gaming, 2 words. Talked about the rumored release date for Gears 5, so check that out. I'll be putting out more videos as the week progresses. Like I said in chat, the news for gaming has kind of been as dry as a 90-year-old hooker. So it's kind of rough. So we'll see what kind of videos I get out this week. It just depends on the news that drops. So stay tuned there. We do have the Saltiest Gaming podcast. It's going to be 9 o'clock Eastern on the channel. So yeah, make sure you tune in there. You can find me on Twitter, Saltiest Gaming. The I is a 1.
All righty, let's get over to Mr. Invader.
That's me, the Space Lord here. Again, guys, thanks for coming out, watching. It's always great to have such awesome support. Thanks for coming out of the comment section, the live chat. Your support just means a lot to us. And of course, I have such an excellent panel with me. Salty, thanks for coming out, buddy. It's always a pleasure having you on. You're such a knowledgeable person when it comes to the gaming news. And yeah, you guys, you can find me on YouTube on Invader Gaming, and of course at Twitter at Invader_1986. And yeah, thanks for rocking out with us.
All right, let's get over to the Boner Man, Mr. Stinking Corpse.
Yep, Stinking Corpse, the Boner Man, apparently.
Mr. Stiffy.
Trying to keep it up. Yeah.
You got to keep it up, yeah.
Yeah, and definitely apparently not having a problem there.
You don't need Jagger, bro. That's for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I want to thank everybody in chat for showing up, and yeah, Noof, you did a great job tonight. So no worries there. But yeah, you can find me on. Here's the long list: the Xbox, Twitter, and YouTube.
Hope you guys got 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's Stinking Corpse. Mondays, of course, here. The Game Dosage podcast with everybody on here. Tuesdays, Retro Renegades with Supersonic Station and Graphic God J Dubs. Wednesdays, which is now every other Wednesdays, is the Daz Cast, and then doing the same thing with Thursdays for the WDFC. And Salty, appreciate you being on here. It's always fun, talking with you. And then the times when me and you are in the same party chat on Xbox, it's always a good time. So I appreciate you coming out.
Oh, for sure.
All right, let's get over to the sexiest member of the podcast. Yes, it would be Miss Primal Eve.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight, and I'm really glad to be back again. I missed chatting about games and hanging out with these guys. You can find me on Twitter at Primal Eve, and also if you want to hang out and play some games with me, video games, you can find me also at Primal Eve.
Awesome. Well, make sure you do follow everybody on this panel. Go check out their content. Like I said, Salty puts up quite a bit online. Go check that stuff out. Stinky is always busy. Busiest man going right now. Almost doing as much content as I think as Boom and Crap Gamer. Only his stuff is live. But yeah, Vader's a good dude, guys. We got a great panel. We really do. Don't forget, guys, if we can get more people back here, keep multiplying like rabbits. Eventually, we'll get to that 300 mark, and we will give away a console. You can hold us to it. Again, thanks to Glitcher, but he couldn't be here tonight, guys. He also wanted to say shout out to Proto Foxy. He's going to be our new full-time member of the podcast, and a shout out to Jago, who couldn't be here, but he will be back soon, guys. No worries. For everybody in the chat, everybody that's been here, too many people to mention. Mega Bad Seed came in late. Mega, thanks for stopping by and checking out the show, brother. The Indie Gamer, Coke Viper, Shannon Lovely, Lady Foxfire. How many more people? We got so many here, guys. We had Cray Simmons, Face 23 up in here, the Indie Gamer, Supersonic Station. Yeah, I could keep going down the list here, guys. So many Triad families here. Great Skull Zero. Keep on going. Dreadpool, Mr. Kima. Again, guys, we thank everybody. If you're new to it, especially, we really appreciate it because, some of you guys come back and you're greatly appreciated, but some people are very new as well. And we just want to show some love to all the new people that are discovering us for the first time. We hope that we'll see you back in the chat on different nights. Christina, thanks for being here as well, guys. Everybody, you're awesome. But I'm going to end it. Oh, Jago's still here. How about that? Awesome. Jago, thanks for hanging out with us, brother. We'll see you back on the panel here pretty soon. To everybody, guys, thanks for checking us out tonight. Thanks for checking out my channel. Hope that you'll rate, comment, and subscribe, all that good shit. And go check out some of my latest videos. You know where to find me. Always in the gutter. But yeah, Noof Nukem here, guys. Have a great night. We'll catch you guys soon. And don't forget to check out the Saltiest Gaming Podcast. Come out Thursday. You'll find me there with Salty and company. We keep it real. We keep it live. We keep it salty. That's how it goes, people. So grab a glass of water, sit back, and tighten that ass, as Glitcher always says. We'll catch you soon, guys. Have a great night. Awesome panel. There you go. Peace out, people.
Later.
Later, fellas.